Okay.
We're good to go. It's 3 o'clock. I want to be on time.
Okay.
And I'm going to tag your Facebook page, Mr. Valier.
You're gonna tag my Facebook page.
Yes, ma'am. So people can see it on your page as well.
Wow. So I guess I can't stay hidden.
Yes, ma'am. And okay, we got the number. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast. We have a great guest with us this afternoon, one who has watched me and my siblings grow up. And we, of course, loved her and her family from Houston. Student Regional Captain Malika Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum salam, sir.
How are
Walaikum.
you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing well. I mean, that's the on-air response. I'm
Well,
on-air response. I am doing well by Allah's grace and mercy, but I wouldn't be being myself or totally honest if I didn't say that I'm nervous. I'm really honored. Thank you so much for having me on the show, but I am nervous.
beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Okay, well, the first thing that we want to talk about is my entire life. I've seen you with a headpiece, a garment, things like that. But
Right.
before that, there was a time that you may have not known the teachings. When did you first hear the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad?
Right. You know, I didn't realize this until probably after I was registered, but my sister, who is registered, who actually brought me to Mos 45 when I moved to Houston, my brother was in law school and my sister was in law school too. So my sister took me to Mos 45 as a guest,
Mm.
but I didn't remember until later on after I'd registered that she took me to the mosque when I was 10 years old
Mm.
in Jackson, Mississippi. When she was at Jackson State, she took me to the mosque when I was 10. So while I don't remember that meeting, that I was taken to the mosque then. And then when I was in high school, my older brother, who was always involved in the civil rights and just Black issues in
Yes,
Mississippi. He was an attorney in Mississippi. And when the minister stood back up, he was one of those people involved with that. Well, of course, I didn't know anything about that, but he had How to Eat to Live. And I remember it being on the dining room table at my mom's house, How to Eat
ma'am.
to Live, because he was very much into, the messenger's teachings and just anything that was pro Black at the time. So I was exposed to How to Eat to Live probably when I was 16 or 17 years old. I
Yes, ma'am.
started reading the book, but I put it down because I'm from Mississippi. So it has some things in there that I was not quite ready to stop eating.
Okay.
So I was exposed at that time, but when I got exposed with some type of awareness, it was when I was in college. It was in about 1984 when the minister was in the news a lot. And this was around the time that he and Jesse Jackson had gone to free the pilot that was shot down, I think, over Syria or Lebanon. I'm not really
Yes,
sure.
ma'am. Yes,
Goldman
ma'am.
was his name. So he was in the news a lot. And it's also, I guess, around the time that Jesse may have been running for president. I was in college, just, footloose, fancy free. But I kept hearing Louis
Mm.
Farrakhan. And I said, you know what? I'm going to check that out. I'm going to check that out. And one of my friends said, you gonna check that out, Valerie? They believe that Jesus is Black. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. Okay, what's wrong with that?
Mm.
And they kept saying, well, he's a hater. So I said, you know what? I'm a college student. I'm fairly intelligent. I do think I'm gonna listen to him for myself. So I don't know if he had already done it yet or if he was about to do Power at Last Forever. So I listened in New York. I listened to that lecture. It was on a cassette my sister gave me. I listened to that lecture and I think I tore it up and I knew it word for word.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So that was my first real exposure. And at that point, I didn't join the nation then, but I knew that I would. I knew that I would at that point. And I would say that to my friends, when I have to say I didn't always wear a headpiece. So when we were wilding out or whatever, I was like, when I become a Muslim, they were like, why do you say when you become a Muslim? I said, oh, I'm gonna become a Muslim. I'm
Mm. Mm.
definitely gonna become a Muslim. I'm definitely going and do that, but just maybe not right now. So that's when I first heard with some type of, awareness. Hmm.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for your transparency and your honesty. And on behalf of myself, family, and the viewing audience, we want to thank you for your sacrifice and the sacrifice, of course, of your husband, your children, and your family as well. Speaking of not being ready at the time to cover your hair and to fall completely in, the youth, many of the youth, that is a challenge for them. How are you so patient? And what advice would you give to other older people and parents to be patient while young women, young men, but especially young women, because you deal with the sisters, are figuring it out?
Right, right. Because, I did not fall out of heaven. I didn't always wear a headpiece. I didn't always, you know, have any type of awareness of who I am or any of that. I know the transformative powers of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, ma'am.
So I remember when I first came in, I don't know, I was a hard one. I, again, had been in the world, and I was in graduate school and a cosmetic consultant. So I would eventually I put on my white, and I'd have on this different lip gloss. And every time I come in, the lieutenant would tell me to take it off. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I guess she doesn't like that color. So next time I'll come with another one, because I liked it. But what I realized is that I don't think that she connected with the fact that I wanted to be there. I just needed a little time to be taught and trained and re-educated. So I heard someone say once that, remember when you knew not what you know. And I think a lot of times we forget to remember when we didn't know what we know. We will say that we didn't fall out of heaven, but we act like we did.
Yes,
We will say that I used to be your age, but we forget that we were. So I think that we have to be patient, with our children. We have to teach them, and not just our children, because all of them are my children. We have to be patient. We have to be something and someone that they aspire to be. And we have to allow them the opportunity to grow. We deposit in them what we want to see flourish. They are not who they're going to become, but we deposit in them what we want to see produce and what we want to see develop. And we can't determine what their path to Allah is, what their role is, what their purpose is, regardless to what we want it to be or how we think it should be. Their road is not my road, or their struggle won't be my struggle. My struggle won't be their struggle. So I think we have to be patient and suspend judgment and not be self-righteous and, just be available. My daughter's turned 18 now. So we have conversations, and I try to be as open and honest and transparent with her as I can, but I want her to be able to be honest and talk to me and know that while I may not agree with some of this, I may not, I definitely won't condone it, but I do understand that you're 18. And, I remember when I was 18 and I was not trying to do anything right. I wasn't the worst person in the world, but, I didn't have the same guidelines, if you will, that we do in the nation. And I say just to, have the awareness that they do, I think that we have to applaud them for that. And just be patient and be an example and be something that they want to aspire to be and want to emulate. That's what I think. Yeah, I think that's really important. And, but for the grace of Allah, go any of us, and we forget that a lot of times, we're very, and I know that we have to, be to the letter of the law. I'm not suggesting that, to be reasonable and not, and accept anything from people. I'm not suggesting that at all. But I'm just saying that we just remember where we were and help people to get where they were. I'll use an example with the processing class. Sometimes you'll have a sister that may come in with, this skirt so short, you don't see, you can't, nothing is left to the imagination.
Yes, ma'am.
But then in a few weeks, it's down to the knee. Well, we still don't wear it to the knee, but applaud her and recognize that she's making headway. And don't just, sister, we wear our skirts all the way down to our ankles. Yes, we do, when we are fully aware of who we are, but applaud, recognize, and validate and acknowledge the progress and thank Allah for that and encourage her. And you'll see it inch down. I mean, that's what I think.
Praise be to Allah.
This is the words according to Maalikah Muhammad, okay? So I'm not the gospel, but that's what I think.
Praise be to Allah. And I want to commend you for we see you, me and my sister saw you as an auntie, of course, T-Val,
Mhm.
growing up, but the product of the Houston sisters, especially the younger ones that we grew up, we always saw them striving to be attitude reflects leadership, for them to always be on their posts or appearing to be on their posts. Whenever I saw them, I know that is a credit to you and the training of your staff. So we thank you for the great work that you all are doing in Houston. You have a lot of comments, Sister Captain. A million yes ma'ams from Sister Donna showing you a lot of love. Sister Bronda from Chicago. Good teachings, Brother Daniel. Sister Donna against Laisha K. Showing love. Brother Durst. Brother Durst, I'm coming to that question. True. It's so many people. Sister Donna, Sister Love. Everybody sending you the greetings and sending you love. Thank you all very much.
Please return the greetings to everyone. And I'm just so honored that, that they even want to listen. Well, they listening to you. They always listen to you, but they want to tune in that I'm on here. So praise be to Allah. And let me say something in reference to the young sisters. I appreciate you saying that because, it doesn't come without, a lot of this from them. Like, you don't want to let us do anything, you don't want to let us do anything. We see this, we see that. Well, our standard, we have a standard. And I just want you to be found trying your very best to adhere to that standard. And I just want to be as best I can an example of that. So I'm not asking you all, or encouraging you all to do something that I know you can't do, or that I know that I'm not willing to do. So while I am T-Val to them as well, I, just try to encourage them to follow the guidance, that we've been given, and look at all that Allah has given us. Don't focus on what you can't do. Look at all of what you can do and find, some righteousness in that and some fun in that. So I just try to, be real. I try to be, that sister. I don't try to be, I'm not your sister girl. I'm not your girlfriend. I want to be that auntie, that you can talk to, but I also want you to know that I'm that one that's going to be honest with you. And I'm going to hold to the standard that I believe is true and correct. And that is the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So, yes, so they give me grief about that, but thank you for mentioning them.
Praise be to Allah. My next question is, how did your parents feel about you accepting the teachings?
Well, my father had passed on already. But my mother, Brother Joshua, I was very, very, very close to my mother. So when I joined the nation, I, like many of us, was a zealot. We become like, if you don't have an ex, don't even talk to me. Don't even say anything to me, but my brother, I have a brother in Chicago who had already registered. So she knew about the teachings already, but I'm the youngest. I was the youngest of 11, grew up in the home with same mom and dad. So I was the youngest and really a mama's baby and all of that. So I was always very close to her. But when I joined the nation, I just it was all Nation of Islam. And again, like I said, if you didn't have an ex, I couldn't even talk to you. So my mom came to Houston one time. The minister was speaking. And at that time, we used to get the, it was not a webcast. We didn't call it a webcast. I don't know. We have to do all kind of get satellite down. We had this satellite and you listen and you could see, it was just really, I don't even know what we called that back then. So it was like early. I registered in 89. So it was like in 89 where we had to, I don't know, do satellite or something. But anyway, my mom came and I believe it was a Mother's Day lecture that the minister spoke at. And I was very new. It was in 89. So I had, I'm a I don't know if I can really call myself a seamstress, but I sew, right? And I had, we weren't as structured here in Houston as we were, where if you just could wear white, it didn't have to be a uniform, just white. So I had made an outfit a white outfit that I was going to wear to the event that day. But one of the sisters gave me a uniform. And if I tell you that the fabric was probably this thick, it was not your everyday poplin. It was polyester and some more of her family members. The white fabric was so thick that it was just crazy, Houston is hot. And it was like, oh my God, does she really expect me to put this thing on my body? I mean, that was my attitude at that time.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
my mom was watching me. I didn't realize that she was watching me try to decide if I was going to make this. Well, at that time, I thought it was a little fly. It was a dress, a white dress, this outfit that I had made, or if I was going to wear this. And it was a monstrosity. This monstrosity that the sister had given me to wear. So I'm going back and forth and back and forth. And I said, you know what? I'm sorry. I got to wear this dress that I made. I was really proud of it. It was modest and everything. So afterwards, she told me, I was watching you, and it made me feel good that you can still think for yourself. Because I didn't realize she was thinking I was joining a cult. I was like, my brother is in the nation. So I'm thinking that she knows he's in the nation. She knows about the teachings, but she said, I was watching you, and I'm glad that you can still think for yourself and make, your own decisions, And so I said, praise be to Allah that she was watching me. And she told me at that same lecture, I like that, Minister Farrakhan. If I was younger, I would join the nation too. And I said, yeah, she told me that. And I had read a Muhammad Speaks. And I said, well, mother, I read an article the other day that this lady I think she was 141 years old. I don't want to misquote, but it was like a real big number, over one. I said, and she joined the nation. She was like, well, yeah, I don't think I'm going to join it at this point. But, I really, if I were younger, I definitely would. So that was, so she embraced that. And then one other thing I did, Brother Joshua, because even with that, she saw me make that decision. I still was a zealot. Brother Durst, he's on the line. He can tell you, we came in around the same time, he and Brother Isaiah and I, so he can tell you, look, we were going to change the whole world. So I just missed different family things. My family's already been close, because if it wasn't, the mosque wasn't doing it, I wasn't coming. So I wrote her a letter, though. I realized that she still had some angst about me being a part of this and just abandoning everything and everyone else. I wrote her a letter, and I said, Mother, I want you to understand that the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad are making me into the young lady that you always wanted me to be. I said, when you used to worry about me being out, late, you don't have to worry about that anymore, because we have a curfew. I used to play tennis. So I played tennis at Jackson State, and I'll be honest, I used to wear these little white tennis shorts, and she would get on me real hard about, that's just too short. Why, so I said, remember those shorts that you used to get on me about? I mean, in the letter, I'm telling her this, you don't have to worry about that anymore, because we have a dress code, so I told her, I said, so just know that the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad are making me into the young lady that you always wanted me to be. And she told me that when she read that letter, it warmed her heart and it just relaxed her. And I will say that when my mom passed away in 2006 and I was going through her things, I found that letter, and then it warmed my heart, that she kept it, all those years. So that's how she was. So my father, he had passed on, but my father was very, very intelligent man. So I think that he would have been okay, would have bore witness to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because a lot of things that he taught us reminds me of what the messenger taught, because my father was very, he was older. He was quite old when I was born, and he would have been around during the time of the messenger. So I'm sure that he would have embraced it as well. Although he was a Christian and was very much in the church, I think he would have embraced it also.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. And thank you for your honesty and transparency again. Thank you all for your comments. I'm not engaging right now because I'm sticking to the script. I got me on this thing. Ask some questions I want to ask you. I want to follow up with you playing tennis. So I know that a lot of people play tennis. My grandmother used to show tennis for us. And so during the time you're in college, who were your people you looked up to? Is this like Nada Talova? This is Pete Sampras? What time period is this? Is like Arthur Ashe? Like what time? Who are you looking up to play tennis that made you want to play tennis? Because it's before Venus and Serena, right?
Yeah, it was a bit before Venus and Serena.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a bit before Venus and Serena. I started, well, of course I played when I was in high school as well. And I was the only Black female on the team, and a brother, Black guy. Actually there were two Black guys on the team. But, I was actually introduced to tennis because my neighbor across the street, from my family played tennis. I don't know who he looked up to, but he played tennis. And that's how I was actually introduced to it. And it was just, I just got into the sport. So I can't say that, of course I knew about Arthur Ashe. He would have been the black one. I knew about him, but I can't say that I looked to any of those other ladies that you mentioned. I used to play tennis with him, and then I joined the team. And the two brothers that were on the team with me were my classmates and my friends. And I just played. We played with them. And then when I went to college, I found, wow, the whole team. In high school, the team was white. When I went to college, the team was black. I met a number of tennis players that were actually from Houston, and I would play with them. So it was an eye opener for me because I'm tall, but I didn't know how to play basketball.
Okay.
My brothers played basketball. I couldn't do a layup if my life depended on it. I couldn't. And, nobody played volleyball. I didn't know that was a real sport for college. So tennis, I've always wanted to be athletic and liked, being out there. So tennis was just, it was introduced to me by my neighbor, and I just embraced it and loved it. And actually still played up until Camila was a little baby. And I couldn't, sit her out on the courts anymore. I played even as the captain. He played on leagues around Houston, because and it's so funny that we're talking about this. Just the other day, I said, yesterday, in fact, I passed by the tennis court where I used to play, and I said, you know what, I'm going to start playing tennis again. So now I do look up to Venus and Serena. I mean, I never got a chance to see them play in person. And I'm so disappointed. That's the one thing that I wanted to do, to see them actually play. But there are a lot of up and coming tennis players, now that Serena and Venus and Serena changed the whole game. So there are a lot of young sisters coming up and brothers coming up that I'll get a chance to see.
Wonderful, excellent. One could be Coco, because everybody's very excited about the young girl who they call Coco. I think she's like 19 or something, and she does well as a tennis player, I believe. Boom. Yeah. My next question for you is, what was it like the first time meeting the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Wow, well, amazing, of course. I think the first time I met the minister was. I don't even remember the year actually, but I was a new captain. So he came to Houston, and I remember I don't want to guess. But I was a new captain, hadn't been on it very long. And he came to Houston, and Brother Robert at the time, had me to go up to the suite to help with security. And he introduced me. He said, Brother Minister, this is my captain, Sister Valerie. And the minister said, I know Sister Valerie. And I was like, wow, I was new. I was like, wow, he does. So I figured maybe from some report or something that Houston had done, I had, he knew who I was. So that was really my first time meeting him. And I was just so honored. I had met, honestly, I had met the minister in my dreams. And I don't want to sound spooky because I don't want to, freak anybody out or even sound crazy and I'd not even be able to follow that train. But I did, as a new believer, I had a dream that I had met the minister, in my dream. He was in Houston and I was standing there and I met him. So when I did actually meet him, it wasn't that same scenario, but his presence and his person was just, as I expected it to be. And each time since that, it's just been, a phenomenal experience, a blessing, really a blessing that I don't take lightly at all, that I don't take for granted, that I'm so honored and humbled by the opportunity to have met him first. And every time I have the opportunity to be in his presence or greet him, I thank Allah for it. I definitely do.
Praise be to Allah. Now, I remember you, when we were very young, you traveling with the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in the country and out of the country. What has been your favorite place to travel with the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Wow. It's hard to say favorite because, you have so many experiences with the minister that you think like this is the favorite, but then each one, trumps the next one. I think that maybe when we went to the Caribbean a few years ago, and the captains and I had kind of broken it up where one person go to this city or this part, and then another one go to that part, and then another one go to that part. And I think that I don't even know where we started. Brother Ray and I flew to Port of Spain. Where is that? Trinidad. We flew to Trinidad. And then we, met, I think, the minister in Antigua or someplace over there. But that particular trip was just so phenomenal because it was a small delegation, and I had the opportunity really to just, I don't ever want to be too personal, I don't want to ever get too close that I lose sight of who the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is. But I had an opportunity to, work with the E team and Sister Mary Alice. And when Sister Amy wasn't there, Sister Mary Alice was there up close and personal, and to really serve, because there were so few of us that I loved it. If I had $1 million or $10 million, I would just automatically give it to the team and Sister Mary Alice. And those are hardest working people in the world. But, their love for the minister and their love for what they do, I just got to see it up close and personal. And each step of the way, I'd be like, okay, this is my last stop here. I'm going home. I'm going home after this. And they'd be like, okay, yeah, right. You're not going home. And I wouldn't go home. I'd call my husband, honey, is there any way I can go to the next stop? And, so we ended up going to, a number of places, Antigua, and I had an opportunity to actually fly on a small plane, with the minister. So just those experiences, and, just to be able to see him in the light that he is, but just to see, be able to serve and to help and to be a part of that, so I think that Caribbean tour was like the best. And when I came home, I don't know if my family recognized me because each step of the way, I was like, okay, we went to Dominica, and it was just phenomenal how they met us they meet us. They met the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm just part of the delegation. And, we had like police or military or whatever escort all the way across down the island to the place where we were staying, and the armed guards on the door. It's just, to see him be treated that way. It's like, man, we don't even know who it is that we're with, and the whole world knows. It's just a phenomenal experience,
Praise be to Allah. And I want to thank your family for their sacrifice, along with yours as well. Right. And thank you all for continuing to watch the People's Podcast. Now, from someone who's been able to be around the Most High Minister Louis Farrakhan, my mind is always, I try not to be too relaxed as well. I try to, always be on post when I'm in his presence, but I've never had to serve him in the food capacity and things of that nature. Now, I like to fight, so you can go into fight mode or something. I can step outside of my body to basically function around the energy that he has. What is it like for you where you can't be serious, where you got to be polite and reach across and talk to him? What's going through your mind as you serve the minister food?
When I'm traveling like that, of course, his Sister Mary Alice and Sister Amy, they're the ones who serve him directly. Praise be to Allah. I don't have that responsibility. I don't even want to get close. But when he's been in our region, of course, I'm the one. But the minister makes you so comfortable. That's the beautiful part about it, because I'm like this, literally like this, honestly, because of who he is, and just, you want to make sure that everything is just so, and that he gets in safely, and that he gets out safely, and then he gets back safely. So I'm always on pins and needles until he does, but he makes it so easy. He's so comfortable. He makes me, and I know my experience has been that he's made it comfortable, because while the minister is very serious, we know that, he has a very jovial side and a joking side. And so there have been situations where I thought that I was just going to pass out for dead. And, he might say something, make a funny or something, and then it calms it. I remember one instance we were, we were supposed to get one type of salad dressing, and we got a different kind. And he said, I'm allergic to this. And I said, oh my God. So I was gonna die in that moment. Oh my God, like I knew we were supposed to get this other one, so anyway, I was just like, I probably turned white in that moment. But then he started laughing, and I remember Mustafa said, Dad, stop joking with her, something like that. So it just, he makes it comfortable. So it's very serious because it's certainly a security post, and I want everything to be as it is. But, he makes it very, very comfortable for you. And actually, Brother Joshua, I received the name Muhammad for serving the minister. We got in '89. Sister, I talk about Brother Ray, but his mom is Sister Betty. She prepared food, and the minister gave us our name Muhammad, because we served him,
1989, praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Well, my next question is.
Yeah, it was 89. I was about to say maybe it was 90, but it was 89. Yeah.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Beautiful. My next question is, you, the women, of course, of Houston, but of course the Southwest region seem to be very empowered. I'm friends with a lot of women who I work with who don't fully understand how the Nation of Islam, how Islam, period, but especially the Nation of Islam, how women can be empowered, still covered, and follow Muslim Min Farrakhan, because in this world, women have been subjected to so much, suppression and things of that nature. Can you tell us, how does it feel? Do you feel suppressed or oppressed as a member of the Nation of Islam? And if you don't, can you tell us, how do you feel for the women who don't know what it's like to be a woman in the Nation of Islam?
Yeah, well, I honestly can't say that I feel suppressed or oppressed. I work with a phenomenal group of laborers. I have to give, certainly credit to Brother Student Minister Abdul Halim, who, he knows, he says it jokingly, but, he knows that the women, can make it happen. And he never tries to inhibit me or inhibit us from using our God-given potential and power and ability. So I can't say that I experience it. I experience that type of oppression or any suppression here. And I don't think that I could allow it anyway, Brother Joshua. My mother was, as I said, I was number 11 of 11 that she had and reared. And she was determined that I was going to be independent and able to take care of myself. And that's what she told me. I would say to her, did you ever want to do something different? Or did you ever want to leave or whatever, especially, you go through a little challenge in a marriage or whatever. Did you ever want to leave? And she said, of course, sometimes I did, but I never did. And I never would, but I always want to make sure that you are in a position that you can always take care of yourself, and you know how to do that, and you're able. So I always have been, independent, always have been a go-getter. Brother Halim likes to joke about, he picked me because I flew to Africa with only an American Express. After I graduated college, I decided that I should travel the world, and I did go, with a new American Express card. So I always have been independent and determined. But when I heard the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I was able to embrace the role of the female. But I love the part that it's your base, but not necessarily your place. I love that we could use the talents and the gifts that Allah blessed us with and still be women and still be helpmeets and still be, servants or whatever. So I couldn't allow myself to be suppressed and oppressed, but to be, submissive, to understand my place as a female. I can certainly do that. And I guess we'll have to talk to my husband to see how well I do it at home. But, in the labor, certainly. And I think that, that spirit combined with, the fact that, Brother Halim is not like that. We attract, sisters who are very powerful. We have a lot of powerful women and sisters in Houston who do some amazing things. They're powerful in their own right, in their careers and with their families. They're business owners, in everything. And they are professionals, but they still are servants and, active and contributing members to the Nation of Islam and to the labor. We encourage that. We encourage that. We encourage that you utilize the talent that Allah blessed you with. And if it comes in the form of a female, so be it. That's the form that it's supposed to be in, and you flourish and you prosper in that way. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
You did.
I don't want to be delusional and suggest that there is no such thing as sexism. Sure there is. Unfortunately, I would imagine that there is. I don't experience it, and I pray that if it does exist, that we can really work to eliminate it, and value each other for who we are and what we are, and for how Allah created us, and and what He made us to be.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent question. Excellent answer. And thank you all again for your comments, and continue to watch the People's Podcast. Sister Captain, I just want to read some of the comments. Brother Durr says, yes. Brother Sister Christina, Sister Donna, I'm coming to you. So many people, Sister Naja, Sister Sadia Kareem, Sister Jadea. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all very much. Excellent. My next question, ma'am, is have you ever been faced with a fear? And if so, how did you overcome the moment of fear that you were faced with?
No, I'm certain that I have, Brother Joshua, because for me to say that I haven't would be quite arrogant and quite arrogant. Yes, I just can't think of one right now. So I will just have to say that I'm grateful that Allah has put it in the sea of forgetfulness, and that I can't think of a situation, where I was extremely fearful, other than, like this. It may sound like I'm just being facetious, but I'm very serious. It's so serious to me to have the ears of the people and of the believers, that I'm afraid that I may say something that doesn't glorify Him. And my prayer is always that I do. So I'm concerned. And so if I'm faced with a fear, that's the fear to go before the public like this. When I go before the MGT class every Saturday morning, while we pray all day, every Saturday morning before I say, come on, and the sister introduced me, I pray to Allah and ask Him to use me and allow me to be a vessel, and just, disregard any thought that I have, and just, talk through me and speak through me, and allow me to glorify the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan. And so I don't know if you mean that type of fear, but I'm afraid that I won't, or if I don't, so that's always my prayer. But any other specific example, again, I'm thankful that it's right now in the sea of forgetfulness, and I can't think of one. If I do come up with something, I will let you know. So I don't want it to come across, though, that I'm just so courageous. I heard an acronym once that said, I heard something that said once that fear is an acronym: false evidence appearing real. So again, I'm certain that I've come across those things, but I try to put them in perspective. And if I believe that I am who He says that I am, then, I have to summon up the God within me, the power that's within me to face it, confront it. Not that I'm not afraid of it anymore, but just summon up the courage and the ability to confront whatever that situation is. And like this, to summon up the courage to turn that camera on and start talking, so that's what I'll say on that.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, ma'am. My next question is, speaking of, earlier you spoke of sewing. And for those who may not know, you have a flourishing business called Camila's Closet. Do you still have, is that still functioning? Can people buy your garments, or do you still sell stuff? And if so, how can we support that?
I know somebody asked me as recent as yesterday, about Camila's Closet. And if Brother Kiam or Sister Sadia on the line, they're probably like, yeah, goody asked you. It is still functioning. Camila's Closet was born out of, actually when Camila was 4 years old. Sister Nisa Islam helped me come up with that name, but it was born out of the idea that, she's tall. We would have these brunches every other month, and I wanted something that was age appropriate for her as a tall young girl that spoke to her age, that she didn't, if I went to the store, I can get something and she looked like she's 10 or 13 at 4 years old. So from there, I used to actually have someone else do my garments, and I was like, I can sew, I'll make mine and I'll make hers too. So Camila's Closet was born really with the young girl in mind. It was to, for the daughters. I see a lot of, I used to see, and not maybe so much anymore, but sisters would dress themselves up. They would be fly, but the young girl looked like a little ragamuffin, and they want to look beautiful too. So the idea was for our young daughters, our girls and our young teenagers and daughters to have something that was age appropriate for them. Well, Camila grew, and now she's my height. And so I never, ever really intended to go into garments for adults. I just, people would ask me about it, and because they may see my garment, I was like, well, I have to have one. If Camila has one, it's just for me, but I don't sew for adults. So that has really been my thing. I know there are a number of sisters out there who do sew for adults, and I have done it. I've done it, and I've been very, very successful, and the sisters have been very, very supportive at doing it. But I'll be honest with you, I want to go back and embrace the young girls again. I want to, have something for them to wear and continue to make the garments. One of my prime supporters, I said Sister Sadia, but she always is rocking Camila's Closet. We've done some things for the brothers as well. So I really am in a bit of a quandary right now, because I want to have something for the young girls again. I want to get something for our sisters who are not yet registered Muslims, who want to dress modestly. I want to dress, our brothers. I've done leisure suits for some of the brothers you may have seen.
Okay.
So we have Camila's Closet men. So really just working to fine tune what it is exactly we want to do at this point. So to answer your question, can someone order? They can send me an email at camilascloset@gmail.com, and we can accommodate anyone that's interested, but we are working through exactly what our niche will be.
Beautiful.
I hope that answers the question.
It does answer your question, because those who may not know, in the first year that the Atlanta FOI drill team won the drill competition, by the grace of God, it was a drill team out of Houston 45 that came and revolutionized not just the style of drill that was there, but the fashion. And this came out of, you always saw those garments. So the Junior Vanguard from Houston, of course, we know they're the dynasty and amazing drill team that they are, but the fashion that comes with that, we thank a lot for you, promoting that modesty, but in the fly, in a dripping way. So we thank you for you doing that. So we respect that, and thank you for that.
Praise be to Allah. Because like I said, the children, were my focus. So making garments for them that they felt good about and that excited them, and it's not, Camila's Closet does it, but Camila's Closet is a team. I definitely have to give a shout out to my goddaughter and niece Rashida, who is, she's one of the brainchild behind some of the fashions, and she and I will get together and go back and forth, in Kaja Couture. We go back and forth about what it's going to look like, and we are excited about making the young girls look good and feel good and be excited. So they don't know until right before we get ready to come to Savior's Day, most times, what they're going to wear. And that's only because we have to do a dress rehearsal. They don't know what color it's going to be. They don't know what style. Sometimes I'll listen to them and they'll say, I heard that we might do this or we might do that. And I'm wondering where they getting their intel from, because Camila doesn't know, they don't know, but I just enjoy the excitement and the energy that surrounds them wanting to put their uniform on. So that ends up being a bigger part, as big a part to them as, coming to compete. And that's beautiful. I want them to love being modest, and I want them to know that they can be modest and modern.
Yes, ma'am. Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. My next question is, I'm a mental health advocate. So I'm a big fan of, Dianetics and getting audited. Could you just give us a quick, example of something, how mental health or therapy has helped you?
Wow. Okay. So since, since you mentioned auditing, of course, when the minister introduced us to Dianetics, I was very honored to be one of the first ones that he selected to go out to Celebrity Center to get to take the Dianetics course. I was just, really honored. Didn't know how I was going to do it, but when he said my captain from Houston, I just said, okay, I'm going, because I've been on this post for a very, very long time, but I'll be honest. And when I said earlier that the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad saved my life, unequivocally, no question about it. I'm so grateful for the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as given to us through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But I came and I started serving as the student captain maybe a year and a half after I got registered.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I was a girl whose childhood was interrupted. I was a girl interrupted by the sin, of molestation. So I served all those years and walked all those years just in a daze, trying to do the best that I could with what I had, but in a daze. So having the opportunity to be audited to address the pain that was associated with that experience and other experiences, I was so grateful to Allah for that. So I was able to be audited in that moment, came back and was an auditor. I did do life repair, and then eventually, of course, I continued until I reached the state of clear. Now for me, it gave me the opportunity to rid myself of those aberrations, those engrammic things that were preventing me from being my very best. My desire, since I got a bit of consciousness, was to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's all I wanted to do. Like I said, even when I was wilding out with my friends, I knew that I was going to join the Nation of Islam. And I wanted to be a part of this and help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So to be able to do it with some form of clarity, to serve women sincerely, to be able to love sincerely, to be able to be present and be compassionate for them, and to do it without all of the muck and mire that I was suffering from, I'm so grateful for that. I'm just so grateful. So, we do have a lot of mental health challenges and issues, and nobody would know that I was serving with that type of aberration or with that type of energy. I remember when those people took my personality test. It was so, my tone level was so low that it almost wasn't even on the thing. When when we started auditing, I think they used to lock my file up, because they didn't want anybody to see that. And then they introduced us to self-analysis. I think it was because of me. My tone level was so low. When they would ask me to go to a pleasure moment, I couldn't even go to one. I couldn't find one. Now, how well could I serve the women? As much as I love Black people, as much as I love this work, as much as I love this nation, how well was I actually serving them with that type of stuff on me? So to get it off, I felt, I had to do it for myself. I had to do it as a debt of gratitude to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for investing in me to send me out there in the first place, and just to be a better servant, to the women that I was responsible to serve. So, I created as a young person, I created an alter ego. So yes, I excelled in everything. I played tennis, but I did everything else in high school. President of my class, then went to college, everything. Went to college on an academic scholarship, graduate, all of that. Ended up going and getting a master's degree, all of that, because, my self-worth was so diminished by, that experience. And I'm trying to make myself feel good, trying to be whole. I used to pray before I joined the nation. I used to pray, for healing. Pray. I didn't say a lot because I didn't know who he was. Pray every day for God to just heal me, restore me. Every self-help book you could think of, I probably read it, and every author at that time or speaker listened to them, praying for healing, to help myself, to help my family, to help my people, and eventually, I learned about the nation. And so my prayer before that was just for healing, so I just felt that the opportunity to rid myself of that, I owed it to my people. I owed it to, I owed it to my nation to be able to be what, the best that I could be, and to be what the sisters need. So that's my position on that.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful, beautiful, Sister Catherine. I want to thank you for your sharing that testimony. I too have benefited very much from therapy, life repair, and being on the e-meter. And I encourage people, anybody who knows me, that like Josh is going to talk about, it's going to be some dynamics, some therapy, some stuff. So I'm so proud to hear your testimony, and may Allah continue to heal you. And I'm just happy that you are so open with that, because we need it. And I try to encourage, on the women's side, on the men, we tough, and I try so hard to get people to understand the value of therapy and auditing and going clear, just because our people need it. So I thank you for your testimony, Sister Catherine. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Right.
Okay. My next question is, what do you do for fun, ma'am?
What do I do for fun?
Honest, like movies and TVs, like before you say like, I just want to, be a good helper for the ministry. Like what you do for fun, like outside of that, like come on, give us a movie, TV, tennis, something.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. I was just reading in Closing the Gap the other day about what is fun. And I definitely agree with that, just learning and expanding. That really is fun. I get so excited, when I'm reading something or hearing something that makes me grow. I was reading an article. I'm going to go to the other kind of fun that you're talking about. But I was reading an article. I was reading an article in the Final Call the other day from Mother Tynetta. And it's like back in the day, I'll be honest, I used to have to just skip Mother Tynetta's articles because they just kind of went over my head. I just wasn't able, I wasn't present, I wasn't aware enough.
Yes, ma'am.
But I was reading that article about the mind and its ability to travel, to record,
Yes.
And I was just so excited and intrigued just in reading that article. So fun to me it really truly is learning something new. It honestly is. But outside of that, if you mean like sport and play fun, sport and play fun, I don't really get to do a lot of that anymore. I mean, tennis, I really loved tennis. I loved it. And honestly, I just said, the other day that I was going to start playing tennis again, because you need, that opportunity to just get out and just enjoy, the environment and to move your body and do some things. So I think that is what I'd love to do. That is what I will do. I just redid the garden in my backyard. So I'm excited that from yesterday morning till today, my green beans are growing and I can actually see them. So that's fun to me, out there landscaping and doing that. But fun would be playing tennis. I loved it. I mean, I would play for hours. Yeah. Brother Halim would have to come and get me off the tennis court. No, seriously, I would try to schedule our meetings around that, because I was on that side of town. But that's what I love to do for fun. We have bikes. So Camila and Jeffrey and I have gone bike riding before. So we have to figure out how to do some more fun stuff.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Well, I have a few more questions for you, Sister Catherine.
Okay.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. I just want to give a special shout out to our sponsors of this month's episodes. If you would like to be a sponsor of the viewing audience, it's Cash App, the People's Podcast. Thank you for keeping this going. Here we go. 1 second. Thank you very much. Oh, goodness. Here we come. I have so many sponsors this month, and I'm so grateful to you all for your continued sponsorship. 1 second. Boom. Just like that. Street Premiere Media Production. That's my brother Rashad and Jamal. They have 4K drones, and they do working on television and movies. They're doing a lot of editing. They have a new clothing line. Shout out to Street Premiere for your continued sponsorships. My sister Miriam's children's book, ABC, I Love Me, and coloring book, both of which are on Amazon. Thank you very much, Sister Mimi. My sister Naima, Stay on Point Dance Academy, LLC. She's teaching ballet virtually to young girls all across the world. And now she's doing the dance studio, and she's teaching young girls how to do 1, 2, 3, 4, the ballet stuff. Our brother Supreme Men's Fashion, thank you very much, out of St. Louis. He'll keep you dripping with some of the best fashion across the country. I'm coming right back to you, Sister Captain. BMW Entertainment, that's Brother Ronald out of Phoenix, Arizona. They do event planning and security. Thank you very much for your continued sponsorship. Raising Black Millionaires, Sister Tia Muhammad. She has cards for young children to teach them economic empowerment about raising Black millionaires. Thank you very much. Brother Kenneth Muhammad, bow tie maker extraordinaire. He will ship your bow tie to you anywhere in this country. Thank you very much, Brother Kenneth. Supreme Team Insurance, Brother Todd X. McGraw. He'll get your insurance. If you need some insurance, go to Brother Todd X. McGraw. Exodus, a new way of life, credit restoration. Thank you very much. If you need your credit done, reach out to them. Khalid's Boutique, make sure we support them. They do great custom t-shirts. Thank you very much. Brother Chantel X, the X and Express, they are shipping, refrigerating stuff all across the country with their freight truck. Thank you very much for your business. Brother Jabbar Muhammad out of Chicago, Client First Construction Incorporation, painting, carpentry, plumbing, etc. Thank you very much. I'm coming right back to you, Sister Captain. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, no problem.
Sister Landra El Muhammad, Navy Beans, More Than Bean Pies. Thank you very much for your sponsorship. Dr. Henry M. Carter with King Henry Turkey Legs here in Atlanta, Georgia. If you need some turkey legs, come on and support Dr. Henry M. Carter. Our sister who does home decor, does an amazing job. She'll hook you up, get it all fancy in your house. Thank you very much for yours. Brother Rashad Muhammad out of Chicago, COVID-19 Disinfecting Cleaning Company. They'll clean everything that you need. We wish you nothing but success. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, AbdulSharif.com. Thank you very much, Dad. Last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is on Amazon, No Father, No Excuse, which is on Amazon as well. Thank you all for your continued support. And thank you very much, Sister Captain, for your patience.
Oh, no, sir, absolutely. That was phenomenal. Congratulations to all of those businesses. I'm familiar with some. I have Sister Tia's book, but that is so, it's so heartwarming to see, the believers doing all of the amazing things. And thank you for sharing that. Because I didn't know about a number of those, and congratulations to you for them sponsoring. I got to get Camila's Closet up there as a sponsor.
Oh, absolutely. Please, thank you very much. And anything that you have upcoming that you want people to know, the People's Podcast is yours. Just let me know. We'll make sure we promote it.
Absolutely.
My next question is, how did you receive? What were the circumstances of you receiving the name Maalikah Muhammad?
Wow. I was completely surprised. Let me just say that I received I received the name on September 7th last year, 2019. And interestingly, that's my wedding anniversary as well. So I was invited. Sister Captain Naima allowed the regional captains to come to Chicago for a harvest class that the sisters in the central region do. They do the harvest at the farm, and we were able to go up. And I had told her that I wasn't going to be able to come up this time because, every year it seems that I'm away on my anniversary. So I said, it's my anniversary. I'm not going to come. And she said, okay. Of course she said, okay. And I was torn because I was like, you just don't miss the opportunity to see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But I'm trying to balance this thing because the year before I was gone. So anyway, as Allah would have it, there was a storm, and my husband was working out of town, and he was coming home that weekend. So I said I wouldn't come. I wasn't going to come because he was coming home. But anyway, and make a long story short, as Allah would have it, there was a storm, and he didn't come home. And so I called her back and said, "Is it too late for me to come?" And she said, "No, of course not." So I went up, and I really thought I was just going up to get some garlic, the organic garlic from the farm. That was just my goal, to get the garlic. And she was like, "I need to see you before you leave." And because we were, Sister Nusaiba and I think Sister Sadaka John, we were all going to get ready to leave and head to the airport. And she said, "I need to see you all before you leave." And then she pulled us to the side and she told us. And so I'm like in shock, she told us, she read, like the name and all of that. And I remember having a conversation with Sister Sajda Kareem, and she's a regional captain in LA.
Okay.
And she asked me, we were just talking. She asked me, if you could pick a name for yourself, what would it be? And I said, I don't know. I always said that I would pick the name Maalikah. I said, but I don't know, I don't know. I think I'll just let, the minister pick a name for me if I ever get one. And so the minister heard that story. And so he said he liked that name for me, but it's not Maalikah. He said, not Maalikah, it's Maalikah. Maalikah. He said, like in the Holy Quran, Malik Yom Medin, master of the law of requital. So after Sister Naima told us, she took us to him, and that's when he told me that. And I was just like in shock. I just had no idea. And it just made me think how we create things. We put things out in the atmosphere, never knowing that they will come back, never having any idea that they will come back. But he said, it's Maalikah. Maalikah. So I said, Brother Minister, I pray that I can live up to that. I'm in tears, like, and that's for anybody that's listening that knows me, that's a big thing, for me to be in tears, like, I pray I can, in tears, pray that I can live up to that name. And he said, you have. So I said, all praises due to Allah. So I was like, master of the law of requital. I'm like, woo, way to lay pressure on my brain. But I was just so honored, I was just not, expecting it. Then, so of course, Sister Nuseba got her name, and Sister Anya, we all were just in shock, so just grateful, just very, very, very grateful. And I just, it made me nervous too, because it's like with Muhammad. When I was given the name Muhammad, Brother Durst was there. It took, I was scared to write it. I was scared to write Valerie Muhammad, because I just, call me a punk if you will, but I'm scary, and I was like, I want to be able to live up to that. I want to live up to that name. And so I was scared. Maalikah, master of the law of requital is what he said. So I'm like, I have to strive every day to live up to that. I don't just take that for granted. A Maalikah Muhammad is just not a regular Negro. You can't just do anything. You just can't be any kind of way. You just can't, be reasonable and do whatever you want to do and use deceptive intelligence to justify it, So it's just, I'm very honored, very, very honored. And I just take it very, very seriously. I'm very humbled by it. And I just thank Allah every single day, all day, for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I absolutely do.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful name. I do have a question, because I was speaking to someone, because I know that when the brother gets a name, most of the time the sister takes on the name. Is it the opposite? How does that work with sister when the sister gets a name?
I've been asked that question a lot, but he didn't say anything to me about that. He didn't tell me, that my husband would take on that name. And I don't know that my husband would want to take my name. I don't know that he would want to do that. So, we didn't automatically assume it. He's definitely Jeffrey Muhammad. And, I don't know that he would want to take on my name, I guess, when the minister said that he liked that name for me, perhaps, not perhaps, because we know he doesn't speak any idle words, he felt like that was for me, and praise be to Allah. So I don't know. He didn't say anything about it. I wasn't presumptuous, and I dared not ask, so I don't know. I've never seen that done. Maybe have you ever seen that done?
No, I didn't know. So that's why I was asking.
No, you're not the only person that's asked me. I've gotten asked that question a number of times, but I've never seen it done. And I don't know that it's not done, but I've just never seen it done. And he didn't say it. And you know what I tell you, people will tell me, well, ask the minister this or say that. I said, let me tell you something. I talk to the minister when he talks to me. I answer questions, I just don't, I'm not forward. I'm not I don't do that with him. So I feel like he tells me what he wants me to know. And he's the leader, teacher, and guide. I don't want to do anything or ask anything out of the way. So I didn't ask about that, and he didn't say.
Okay, great. Yes, ma'am. And thank you all again. Getting a lot of comments, Sister Captain. A lot of love. Thank you all for continue to show her love on the People's Podcast. My next question for you, ma'am, is: will you ever write a book about your life?
Wow, Brother Joshua. My husband mentioned that to me a few months ago. He said you should write a book. I don't know what prompted him to say that to me. And I thought, what would I write about? And I've had a couple of other people to say that to me. And my question is still, what would I write about? I have to pray on that and ask Allah if there's anything for me to say, because I just take it very seriously. I think that the believers, the people's time is very valuable. And sometimes we just want to pontificate. Sometimes we just talk just to be talking, sometimes we really don't have anything to say and we just do it because it can be done. I don't want to do that. I want anything that I have to share to be uplifting, to elevate, the female, to elevate the Muslim, to elevate the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as given to us by the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan. And if my life has done that, all praise is due to Allah. And if it should happen that, it's worthy to be shared, then I'm certainly open to it, but I haven't given it, any thought. When he mentioned that to me, I thought, what would I say? So I would have to have something to say to do that, not just that's not one of the things that's on my bucket list that, that I got to do this before, I die. But if Allah should reveal to me that, you should share this, then I will. There is something that I want to do. I won't talk about it just now, but I will be in communication with you about it. But it's not a book, but it's a way really not to use my voice to honor, my mother and those women who have been the tremendous loves of my life. My mother, my aunt, my mother-in-law, some tremendous loves of my life. So I don't know that it will be in the form of a book, but, we'll see.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. My next question is, behind me, I'm a fan of, the art. So I love music, movies, television. I'm an actor. Shout out to my mom. So put me into that. Are some of my favorite albums that have impacted me. If you could choose an album of your choice, what album would you say, has impacted you the most, or is your favorite album of all time?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Not this behind me, your own album, your own album.
I don't know that I can say which album. I was really thinking artist, because I love Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I see him right there. Yeah. I love Michael Jackson. Of course, it goes without saying that the Minister's box set is my collection. It's on my table. But I love Michael Jackson. I have loved Michael Jackson as long as I can remember. I think every song. So every album, Billie Jean for I Want You Back, every song, I love Michael Jackson. And I was devastated, with this. I was actually, Rashida and Camila and I were planning to go to the UK for his tour when he passed. I was devastated. I had to, now that's where I had to be audited about that too. I'd be audited about that too. My friends from college were calling me like I had lost a family member. They were calling me and texting me, Val, I'm so sorry. So Michael Jackson is definitely, one of my favorite artists. And I don't know that I could pick one of his albums, that is my favorite, because I just love him. I love Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life. I love that too, I love music, really. Contrary to what Camila thinks, I don't turn the radio on in the car. She thinks, Mom, you don't even listen. I love music, but my favorite artist would have to be, Michael Jackson. I love Whitney Houston. I love Prince. I even love Beyonce and Jay-Z now. I know the Carters, like.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
When I was in a peer, I used to listen to that. So I love that album too. But I guess it would have to be one of Michael Jackson's albums.
Great. And I too, like my family, when we heard the news, they heard it before me, and I was at play practice, and my sisters and them came. I thought somebody, I was like, what happened? Right. And they was like, you want to sit down? You want to sit down? I'm like, who? I'm like, what's going on? They're like, man, Mike. I'm like, oh, you know, I didn't cry though, but I was hurt. I didn't
Oh
cry.
my goodness, you know, and somebody told me this a few months ago. I think it was Vicky. Vicky is like my daughter here in Houston. She said something about not crying for Michael Jackson. I was like, now see, that is just being a devil right there. You know, I was hot with her. I was like, real? Are you serious? I was at actually I was at the Y working out, and one of the sisters called me. I jumped off the treadmill. Camila was in the children's room. I ran and grabbed her. Come on, we gotta go right now. She's like, Mom, what's going on? Come on right now. I left that place, jumped in the car, called my brother. Is it true? He was like, I think so. He said, I think so. And I was devastated. She was crying. I was crying. I was just like, you know, my whole life, I was depressed I didn't want to hear no Michael Jackson music. They start playing the music, the radios. I don't want to hear any of that. Just, I want to be left alone. It was bad.
Absolutely. And in drill, you being a judge of the drill competition, I actually wear one glove when I drill. If we ever wear gloves, I'm always gonna have one glove on, which is my salute hand. The other glove is gonna be empty with the hand out. That's because of Michael Jackson.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Mike, you know what I'm saying? People know, like, oh, Josh, yeah, he's gonna wear one glove because of Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, you know. I have one more question for you, okay. And thank you very much, and thank you all for continuing to watch the People's Podcast. Before I ask my last question, I always ask all of the guests. I want to make sure that I give a special thank you to you, and of course the laboring staff and all of the sisters in the region of the Southwest for your love and your honor of my mother. About 5 years ago, we came to Houston, and it was myself and my parents, and I got to see the you had my mom's face on a cake, and you know, and sisters told all of these stories, and the sisters, they were drilling, and I had never seen that done for my mother, and my camera, apparently my camera was like whack because I tried to show it to my siblings. They was like, I can't really see it, but I came home and showed them because it made my mother so happy that you all had honored her in the way that you did. So I thank you for that. Thank the Houston, the Southwest region for the love that you showed us. That was an amazing trip. I enjoyed myself in Houston. It was happy to see my mom's happy. I got to go out to eat with you and, you know, my parents at Sugarland, and I got to see, it was an amazing event. And I thank you all. Thank the believers of Houston. That meant a lot to me and my family. So I wanted to make sure I thanked you for doing that. And my last question is, what would you like your legacy to be, ma'am?
Okay. Well, before I answer that question, let me just say, you know, it was our honor to do that, you know, for your mom. And, you know, she was an amazing woman. And while, you know, I wasn't there, again, I said I wasn't in the vanguard, so I wasn't a part of that staff or any of that. You know, Sister Sharifa embraced me. I was a new regional captain, you know, when we met, and she embraced me. I stayed at your home when you all lived in, I don't know, I was outside of Chicago, you know, Naperville, exactly, Naperville. There, you know, I've been to your home in Atlanta, your grandma, and she's been to my home. She was a part of, you know, of my life. And while we didn't speak all the time, I shared on your dad's show that when my mom passed away, she and Sister Nisa drove here. They weren't able to stay for the service, but they came. We sat at Pizza Hut, I think, in the little town where I'm from, and we talked, and then they left. But that meant a lot to me. When I struggled early on with the issues of infertility, I remember her telling me, you know, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that some trees are made for shade and other trees are made to bear fruit. So she would always share just wonderful things with me that I didn't need to. It wasn't anything of show. It wasn't with anybody else. It was just a relationship that I appreciated and shared. As I said, she stayed at my home. We've moved a lot. She'd be like, I like that house best. You know, so she stayed, you know, at my home, and I appreciated, you know, the relationship that I shared. I always did, and I always will. So to honor her was really my honor, you know, to see her happy. You know, she wasn't on the national scene much anymore, but to come here and let her know that we appreciate everything that you did, just an amazing personality. And your dad too, we love him. He's a supreme captain. I used to be scared of him as a supreme captain, but but he was, Brother Sharif is just phenomenal. So it was my honor, for us to do that. And the sisters loved doing it as well.
Thank you very much. We're not getting sad. We're not going to get sad too bad.
No. Now that's the beautiful thing about having handled those aberrations, those things. I can have the appropriate emotion at the appropriate time, and it be for that particular thing. No, it's beautiful. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy that we were able to do that. Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
So my legacy, I just want to, I say this to my daughter, and let me say that before I answer this question. This is our last question. I have to, you said thank you to my family. I have to say thank you to my husband, who has really been the wind beneath my wings. He's allowed me, I was the captain before we got married. So he's always, allowed me to be, the captain and to do the work on behalf of the nation without interfering with that. And so that, so the travels that you talk about, the different things that you've talked about that I've done and been able to do, I'm very grateful. Allah gave me the kind of person that obviously I needed to help me to flourish. So I'm very grateful to my husband and the sacrifice that he has made for we just celebrated our 29th anniversary. So for 29 years, he's done that. And I'm very, very grateful for that. And for my daughter, the sacrifices that she makes,
Absolutely.
Certainly she's had the opportunity to meet the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, where everybody has not. And so that's a plus, but there are some minuses and there are some tremendous sacrifices that she's had to make, since a tiny child, baby, that go along with the post. So I appreciate her sacrifice. And all of those sisters who are right there with me, to help me to be any and everything that I am, I appreciate them and their sacrifice all of the time. Sister Valerie is a team. Sister Maalikah is a team. And I'm so thankful for the sisterhood of the MGT, the sisters here in Houston. Vicky, I mentioned her, like my other daughter. I just thank Allah for her. And I just don't want to be one who is ungrateful. So I want to acknowledge him. I mean, if I started naming, I would, you'd have to just disconnect me from the show.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that for fear of not naming everyone. But I'm so very grateful to all of the sisters, the phenomenal sisters here in Houston, across the region and across the nation, and for this amazing sisterhood that Allah has blessed me with in the MGT. So I had to say that. And my legacy, I think that I just want to be known as one who certainly was kind and who lived with integrity. I'll have a conversation with Camila and she may ask me something. She's a teenager. She may ask me, well, Mom, who was that or what was that about? I was like, I can't talk to you about that. And she's like, well, no, just go ahead and tell me. I said, well, no, I can't. I said, I have to, as best I can, be an example to you of a captain who lives with integrity, who takes to heart what these teachings represent, who tries the best they can to be the best example they can be. I said, I believe that I have to do that because wherever you go, you can have that same expectation from your captain because you saw that example of one who tried to do that, who tried to live with integrity, who tried to make their word, to try to make their word bond, to try to represent the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as best as possible. So I would say, to live with integrity, to have character, to be compassionate, to be kind, to love. This work, you have to lead with love. To love, you have to love, and love comes, it's not always pretty, but to lead with love. And that's what I want to, to leave, is that these teachings make you and elevate you to a certain standard, and you always to be one who's always striving to live up to that standard that the teachings have put for us. and to try to be the best example of that I can for not only my daughter, but for all of the young girls that are around.
Excellent. And you have done such a great job and continue to do such a great job. Thank you all for watching the People's Podcast. Sister Brenda, I saw Sister Mahasan, I saw Brother Victor P, Sister Rashida, Sister, everybody, Sister Naja, everybody who's on the comments. I will come back and come to you all after this because this is an amazing thing. You have lifted my tone scale. You have, this has been a pleasure moment that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. May Allah continue to bless you, Sister Captain. And love you and your family, and love the believers, and thank you all for watching the People's Podcast.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, Brother Joshua. And now you have permission to call me Sister Captain on this. I'm not T Val anymore. I'm T Mal now.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and love to you and your family. I'm so honored that you asked me. And I thank you for representing with the Texas hat.
Oh, you see how I did that? See? You see how I did? See? Thank you. People be missing. I'm like, man, I'm trying to show people whatever. Man, goodness. Thank you very much. All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.